see now, Benny?
Yeah, the picture of me doing my Hawaii crew runway.
So this was the first time of me seeing you fight, and I know you fought before. You fought some of my friends too. It's always nerve-wracking seeing friends fighting again, especially coming back to the scene. And I've never seen a dancing walkout white crew like yours before. You come dancing to hip hop, representing the William Street gym brand. That was my first time seeing that be real tank top. And you're facing an up and comer too.
Yeah, it was my first fight back. Was
Fight
it
number
after? I think it
I
was the
think I'm
next
pretty
fight
sure it was
after.
after. Yeah. What were you thinking
It's
when you were
crazy.
coming back in, especially being on your own, was pretty much your own promotion?
Like that's the thing, man. Like I didn't. I felt good. I know it's hard to remember like what it was like before, but I definitely remember like for that like during that fight and after that fight, like I was frustrated and shit just wasn't working. Like I was scoring well at the start, and then he kept catching.
Yeah.
And it's actually a pivotal moment because like realized that was like a particular hole in my game that nobody had never previously had done. Like nobody would just catch my kicks because I just used to, I don't know, I guess my kicks, people said that my kicks were quite strong and sharp. So
Yeah.
I never had anybody catch them. But I remember Pat saying afterwards that his legs were sore and fucking his ribs were sore and so forth.
It was a good fight, man.
I just couldn't. Yeah, look, I definitely felt the taxingness of being dumped many times, many times in that fight.
Well, speaking of
But
that,
yeah, it was
speaking of it being dumped, I can't let you go without bringing this part up.
yes, the
That
fucking
was
breakdancing
first,
on my neck.
the first time me seeing a head dump. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, I don't remember. Like, I don't remember. Like, it never actually. None of the dumps actually hurt. I mean, I remember like going arse over on that particular one, but like nothing like hurt. It's just I don't know, when you get dumped, it's just the fact of like physically getting off the floor and getting up again. I never like was phased about what somebody would do, like was doing to me. But yeah, just like the fact that like once you go down, you get back up again. Like every time you get dumped,
Cool.
it's just taxing. It just hits that like if you got your energy bar, it just chips a massive chunk out of it.
Yeah. The famous head kick hurdle of FedEx. This was, I think, the third time of me seeing you fight. And then think by now, I'm like, okay, Ben's going to be a regular now. He's going to be fighting a lot more now. He's part of the fighter circuit. And shortly before this round started, I heard someone in your corner, I think it was either Sai or Jai, had kept saying head kick, head kick. And that was one of the first times I tried listening to the corners for that advice and then timing that too. And then it just happened. You threw a head kick at the same time and it landed flush.
Yeah, that was a look, that fight particularly was just one of the best the best I felt ever. I was like best I prepared for a fight. It's like everything, my teammates, like everybody, like stable mates, my training partners, like you know, we didn't have many southpaw guys at the gym, and they were all like any of the guys that were southpaws, even the guys that didn't train regularly, were still coming to the gym and helping me out.
Yep.
You know, so it was man, like my prep for this fight was amazing. Like weight cut was perfect. I think that was actually the first time I tried the Dolce diet as well. It
Okay.
worked very well. That was probably like the easiest weight. Like I made weight perfectly. I put on weight well. I just felt amazing. Refueled, hydrated, everything was good. And that fight, man, it was probably the calmest I felt like. And I think as a coach now that like I look at that fight as always like making sure that because I'm guilty of it. Like I was never the best fighter, and I still had a lot to learn. But I learn a lot now, passing it on.
Yep.
Like Muay Thai is not about trying to like kill from the word go. You must like fight relaxed and strong. You know, you want to keep as calm as possible. And literally, man, like I remember like Jahed and Sai and Ton saying like hike, go high, go high.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, that was saying it. for the
And
entire round.
yeah, kick into the body. And then when we went back in the corner, like, I don't know, it was just ready to go. Like, as soon as that round three, I remember, like, I could, if I was as talented as, like, to draw or like to paint, I could like literally picture perfect. I remember like hitting his chin, and the chin, like everything went in complete slow mo. I saw like his eyes roll back, like the chin moved, like it was so smooth and slow. Like obviously the video, everything is real time. It looks fast,
Yeah.
but like in my head, in that point, like it was just so. It was like watching a slow mo shot. And then as he hit the ground, I did like as soon as I connected it, man, I knew like it was done. Like there was nothing
Yeah.
good. Like it was just. I think I started celebrating before. Like I think
Yeah.
because Andy threw the towel in for it. Yeah.
That's come to my
Yeah.
next point. You were celebrating like crazy. Sherwood was jumping up and down. People were celebrating. And shortly after that, I think you came to your senses and you're like, okay, shit, I think he might be pretty hurt.
Yeah. I mean, of course. Like you never want to hurt anybody.
That's why I like Muay Thai. Like you might get knocked out, but then after it's all been done, everyone comes to each other, just make sure they're okay. And I see that a lot more in Muay Thai than I do in mixed martial arts, boxing or kickboxing. There's just that element of respect because Muay Thai scene, it's a very small scene and everyone sees each other. You don't want to, wish harm on anyone.
Yeah, man. Fighting is not about. There shouldn't be any like hatred towards your opponent or a team or gym or anything like that. Like you fight each other. Like man, like when I first started fighting, like the pool of fighters was fucking small. I had like my first like first 5 fights within 3 months,
Was that
and then
shin
like
pads or
shortly
no shin
after,
pads?
like my fourth fight was no shin pads, no shin pads. My fifth fight was full Thai rules. I
And
mean, yeah,
those days are gone. You can easily just jump into your first full Thai fight these days.
yeah. It was like apparently back when I started, it was mandatory. Like
The
the
first three
rule of
fights,
the
wasn't it?
board, first five. Apparently, it was like the first 5 fights you're supposed to have with shin pads and headgear, and then it's like headgear off, and then you'd fight like 5 modified fights, and then you could fight full Thai rules. You know how regulated, particularly the board is
Yeah, well,
at
that's funny
times.
because I started fighting towards the end of that, and because I started fighting in MMA first. So when I was looking for my first MMA fight, I heard that you didn't need to wear shin pads as long as you didn't do head strikes, and that's where I saw there was a loophole. I'm like, okay, if I fight MMA, because no one wants to wear shin pads, so I said, oh, if I fought
Yeah,
MMA, I don't need to wear shin pads, and then that slowly became a loophole, and then bit by bit, both sports started to just go for no shin pads.
yeah. Fourth fight was full Thai rules, no shin pads, nothing. And then from then on, I just never put shin pads on. But man, I hated it. I never wanted to fight with like. I think honestly, fighting with shin pads and head guards and stuff is ridiculous. Why? Like, how is a shin pad really protecting you during a fight?
I can see the protection in the shin pad, but what I find ridiculous is yes, you're going to wear shin pads, but your knees exposed. You can still need them full blast in the face, full blast in the gut. It's either one or the other.
Exactly my point, man. Yeah, I just like
If you're
I
wearing
don't
pads,
understand.
just
Like,
pad the whole thing up.
yeah, I don't know. I was never like obviously sparring. Yes, you wear shin pads because you don't want to hurt each other.
Yeah.
That's not the point. But like when you fight, man, you don't kick pads with shin pads on. Like,
Oh, some do.
yeah, I know there's like, yeah, no, I hated shin pads fighting, and like it's like I was so happy the first fight I took them off, like just to be able to like kick freely.
Yeah.
It's a good pick, man.
Let's go back to this moment. I don't know if I
Yeah,
showed this one to you before.
I've never seen this.
You were back in the circuit.
That
You were
was
fighting up and comers. You were fighting interstate guys, and sometimes you might fight someone with. Well, I don't know. What did this say? You had like 2 fights back in it. I don't know. You never know. Certain promotions, people might have padded records. I've never fought anyone like him myself. I know from sparring, fighting someone who's very awkward can really put you off your game, especially as someone as technical as and clean as you are. And having a referee that didn't really pull them up on the rules can be pretty frustrating on the fighter and the trainer too. What was your thoughts coming into this fight and then afterwards?
we fought, or like I fought his stable mate. I fought him 2 weeks beforehand, and I was feeling fine. Like wasn't like I won that fight, and then they asked if I like within a couple of days of the fight if I like wanted to fight again, and I was like, look, Jared was like, yeah, take the fight. Sai wasn't too sure, and then like I was like, look, I'm fine. I'm not injured. Like I'm fit already. I think it was a bad idea to take a fight 2 weeks after fighting in general. We weren't sure on like the record. Like somebody said like he had like one Muay Thai fight, but he'd had a heap of kickboxing fights. And like we just like nobody knew. Like there was no like definitive answer, but apparently it was like a Sunda
Yeah,
Chinese kickboxing multiple champion or something like that. I don't know.
yeah.
I have no idea, man. But like anyway, like so I didn't feel bad when I went into the fight, but we were in the clinch and he started like hooking the back of my legs and tripping me over. Stopped my rhythm because like that's illegal. Well, that is an illegal move. You're not allowed to like hook and trip
It's
over.
only illegal if you have a
Um,
referee that sees it as legal.
that is correct. Yeah, right. But like I was beating him in the actual clinch itself, and then he literally picked me up and spiked me on the
I
top of
remember
my
that.
head, and
Did that wobble you?
that yeah, that fucked me real bad, man. I still honestly I think that fight actually had a bigger toll in the bigger picture of my life. Like I don't think I was ever quite right. Like I didn't like my fights weren't after that fight were never good. I mean, not that as I said, like not that I was the greatest fighter, but I was just like it was probably a point that like I realized that like I just no, I can't fight anymore. That was people like, oh, why did you stop fighting? I think the biggest thing for me is I lost the heart for it. And as a fighter, you need that is what you need. So it doesn't matter how technical, how vicious, strong, whatever, like how good you are as a fight. Like people like you go, oh, look at that guy on pads, man. It doesn't mean shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like everything has to do, and I think the ties obviously refer to it as heart as well. But like, yeah, I just lost
yeah,
it. I just it was not right after that fight, and I don't know. I probably shouldn't have keep fighting after it. But like, I don't know. You just getting spiked on your head, pulled up for that, and like looked after as a fighter. Because at the end of the day, the referee's job is to ensure the safety of the fighters. Yeah,
yep,
that didn't happen, and that definitely changed. Like I know for a fact that changed a lot about me as a person and my mental health and just even my neck, man. My neck took ages to heal after that fight. I think in that fight I got pulled up for a down. I got pulled up for using a downward elbow. That was the only thing that was said to between the two fighters out of everything that happened.
wow.
I got pulled up for using a downward elbow.
Wow, it sucked. But it's moments like
Yeah.
these where I tell myself and I tell people at the gym, if you're gonna come back to fighting again and you're at an older age, you gotta think there's always that 18-year-old that doesn't work, doesn't go to school. All they do is train, fight. You gotta be aware that, shit like that could happen to you. It's all fun and games to land kicks and get that knockout, but that could easily happen to you, and you gotta know you can easily get
Oh yeah.
severely injured if you're not ready for it. And it's a freak accident. It can happen to anyone too.
Yeah, of course, man. I don't regret anything that I did in terms of my like fight journey and the way I did things because at the end of the day it's just my journey. Like every fighter goes through, they're gonna have bad weight cuts, they're gonna have bad fights, they're gonna lose friends because they're too busy training and want to fight. Like and you know it yourself with like fighting and people go to gyms and they train and then there's that small 1 or 2% that actually like not just have one fight. Like everybody can have one fight, but to have like and to like dedicate your life to just that, man, it's crazy. Like it's awesome. Like yeah, as I said, like I wouldn't change any of it, but yeah, you definitely put
So there's a lot of
everything
sacrifices
into it.
involved.
Fuck yeah. Hell yeah.
And then moving from being a fighter to a coach, a trainer, and then being the head Muay Thai trainer of your own gym that you've fought out of. What was that transition like? What are your thoughts for your fighters?
like I was saying before about like I felt like I lost the heart for fighting and the passion and the excitement that I got from like when I used to fight.
Yeah.
I get that by coaching, and that makes me happy. Like it doesn't matter. Like as I tell like all the guys and girls and whoever like jumps over the ropes, like when I'm cornering them, like I don't care if they win, lose, or draw as long as they won. Like just fight strong and fight well. Do your best. Have fun. Like it's a fight. Like you take it seriously. You put in the hard yards. Like this is why you do it. Like you shouldn't be doing it for any other reason. Like I get more nervous for my fighters than I used to do, and like the people that I know that fight than I do for like when I used to fight. And I think that's a lot of people would say that as well. They get more nervous for other people when they fight than they do for themselves. Helping someone get their technique right, get their fitness right, get them ready for literally battle or war, whatever you want to call it. Like they're literally going into a fight. Getting them as prepared as you possibly, because it is obviously a team effort.
Yeah. Wow. What was it like cornering your old student Ryan after a few fights away from the gym and being part of his new crew?
Ryan and I have been like we keep regular pad work together because he can't. Obviously, O'Neill works a full-time job, not just like running his gym. So O'Neill puts in some solid hours as a coach, man. Like he works full-time, like a trade, and then obviously goes and teaches like and holds pads for fighters and stuff. So Ryan was coming to see me like once a week or a couple of times a week, depending on what his schedule and what's going on and stuff. So basically, Ryan is just I've got a lot of respect for their crew, but they always ask me, they're like, "Hey, come jump in the corner for Ryan. You're like his lucky charm or something like that." But yeah.
And like how we said
Yeah.
earlier, how MuayThai is such a small community. Like you've fought the gyms every now and then, and everyone's all connected because everyone's just friends at the end of the day.
Yeah, of course. Like William Street's we stopped teaching Muay Thai. So in terms of coaching Muay Thai, it was only like, what I do with a few other clients and Ryan, but like not teaching fighters and not teaching classes anymore. I was only teaching boxing. So it's nice to be able to like jump in the corner and still get that feeling like I'm still, active in the Muay Thai side of things. So
That's true. That was one of the first times to jump back to corner a Muay Thai fight since the gym became purely boxing.
So I've been in Ryan's corner for a couple, like at the back, and he's nice to like he's good to hold pads for. Like he's one of those fighters that you can just keep keep holding pads, and there's no like you're not going to get bung arms and shoulders and stuff like that. Like it's just
Yeah.
flush, and we've got a good pad relationship, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And many people know that you're the backstage man doing the gloves behind the scenes.
The glove man.
The glove man, giving your famous speeches before fight shows to trainers and fighters, telling them not to cut the gloves, bring them back. Do you focus solely on that work when you're backstage, or do you try and help out some fighters too? Obviously, you would glove up some of the newer guys, and then you can see their nerves, see their butterflies kick in. But then you also see your seasoned veterans from overseas coming to fight. What's it like being backstage and doing all the glove work, running around behind the scenes?
It's at the back is a cool. I keep thinking I should like walk around with like a GoPro attached to me or something, because at the like I don't know, at the back is just there's just this vibe that it can't like unless you're a fighter you understand, like there's just this atmosphere that's going on between the two like walking in and out through the different changing rooms, and obviously like I remember what it was like to fight. I remember watching and coaching other fighters and helping them out. And so you see what, like, I know from that position, it's nice to see what everybody's how they handle the situation, you know, and to see which gyms have like had more experience and whatnot.
It's a very intimate side too. Like some cool things I've seen in backstage is seeing some new gyms having a trainer who don't know how to wrap their hands, and then they'll ask other gyms to help out, or some gyms forget the buckets, forget some pads, you know, just share around.
Oh, all the time, man. Yeah, yeah. I think the last time I gloved up, I freaking lost my shit at one of the gyms because they were like, they still hadn't wrapped up and all this sort of stuff. And we're going to like, yeah, because that last year we had like 20 something, 22 fights. And it just, yeah, it was, I don't know, it's stress. It is getting the fighters and everybody ready on time is quite stressful. Like I'm very lucky that at the start, like, you know, as a team, we've got like Pete, you know, and Petros and Joe and any of the other, and Sean and any of the other guys that have helped me out the back. Just like we all help each other, like making sure that one corner's ready, the other corner's ready, you know, other corners like looked after, because, you know, they got to make sure that they're not just having like ice and buckets and shit like that, but just, you know, without the fighters, there's no show, you know. So they should be well looked after. It's looked after as best we can, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, it's nice being able to like help people like just before they go out to fight. You know, you get to talk. Like I get, you know, as I'm gloving them up or helping them with the gloves and stuff, I get to talk with the coaches. I get to talk with the fighters. Like it's nice to know, like, get to know the new fighters in the community.
Oh, definitely. Well, do you still get kind of fanboyish when you glove up some of the superstars from overseas?
Yeah, of course, man. But it's funny. Like I've never like genuinely everybody is quite like genuine and nice and just like easygoing, you know.
Yeah. I keep bringing it back to Muay Thai. Everyone's a celebrity, everyone's a fighter, but then at the end of the day, you know, they're still humble, they're still willing to talk to you because everyone's human at the end of the day. Comparing that to other disciplines, some people might have a few fights and then think of themselves as the next Instagram celebrity and taking autographs, taking selfies with people. And I'm like, relax, you've only had a few
Yeah,
fights.
it's like the Thais, man. When they come in, like any of the Thais that fought on the show, like for them, like it's like nerve wracking for them when they fight on Rebellion because they're like first fight overseas and stuff like this. But I'm like, fuck, this guy is like fucking awesome, you know.
Yeah.
It's funny, man. Like it's as I said, it's nice to be at the back in that position, and like as I said, the first few fights of the show, you don't get to see much because you're like running around back. But like it's nice to catch at the end of the last like few fights, you know, the guys that have been out the back for the longest, waiting around when they get to finally fight and watching them like do their thing, you know.
Yeah. Cool, man. That brings us to the last image. Ooh, thanks for the
Oh,
chat,
the
Benny.
last one, nice. That's all good, bro. That was actually really cool, man. In terms of the way you formatted it, man, like it's a yeah, it's cool. It gets you thinking, like, man, like some of those photos I hadn't seen.
But that's what I wanted.